Thank you so much. And today our opening remarks will be started by our Danish Refugee Council Country Director, Julian.
Dear friends and colleagues, it is a privilege to welcome you all to the launch of our digital legal aid platform today. It is great to see such a diverse audience with representatives from the government, colleagues from the embassies and the donor community, representatives from the UN and NGOs, as well as the civil society organizations. The full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 created a dire humanitarian crisis, resulting in a wide range and unprecedented level of legal aid needs. These needs covered various areas, including housing, land and property rights, social benefits, civil documentation, and benefits for internally displaced persons, amongst many others. Many people have been forced to flee their homes, leaving their properties vulnerable to damage, occupation, or destruction. The conflict disrupted the normal functioning of social welfare systems, impacting the ability of individuals and families to access essential social benefits. Displacement caused by the full-scale invasion has resulted in the loss or destruction of important civil documents such as identification papers, birth certificates, marriage certificates, and property deeds, amongst other far-ranging impacts. With millions in urgent need of legal aid support, it is easy to question how we can adequately address this scale with available resources. At the Danish Refugee Council, we feel the answer is through collective action amongst legal aid service providers, alongside an unwavering commitment to finding innovative solutions to meet the overwhelming humanitarian demand for legal support. In that regard, today, with all of you here, marks an important milestone in our collective effort to improve access to legal aid for Ukrainians. The vision for the platform that we are launching today from the very beginning has been to work with others, be it government counterparts, UN agencies, civil society actors, national and international NGOs, as well as the private sector. We believe that the infrastructure of the platform creates opportunities for synergies with other programs and encourages increased integration of legal assistance into our ongoing humanitarian efforts. Today provides an exciting opportunity to present the work already completed and discuss how we can collectively improve the protection of the rights of conflict-affected populations in Ukraine and abroad, and the role digital resources such as the legal aid platform can play in contributing to this objective. The aim is to reach both people in remote, hard-to-reach areas across Ukraine, residents in Kiev with high digital literacy, as well as families forced to flee to neighboring countries. We need to engage a multitude of tools and pathways in order to reach the diverse populations and needs created by this crisis. Our teams and our partners continue to commit to comprehensive support, such as awareness raising, legal analysis, and legal case management. However, today is dedicated to presenting how the legal aid platform can make significant contributions to extending access to legal support. This initiative would not have been possible without the financial support of the European Union Humanitarian Aid and the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance, USAID. I also want to take the opportunity to express our appreciation to the Office of the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine on European and Euro-Atlantic integration, whose dedicated support to DRC and the legal aid platform within the governmental working group has been critical in efforts to protect the rights of Ukrainians who have fled abroad. I would also like to take the opportunity to highlight the invaluable contributions of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, allowing us to reach Ukrainians abroad via the consulates. In addition, our cooperation with the Ombudsman Office has deepened our collective work to protect the rights of IDPs and refugees and has strengthened this platform. The State Employment Service of Ukraine's commitment and active involvement in the creation of the legal aid platform has been crucial to ensuring that displaced individuals receive the necessary legal assistance and resources to safeguard their rights in the workplace. Lastly, we are grateful to the Ministry of Social Policy and the Ministry for Reintegration of the Temporarily Occupied Territories, who are present with us here today to jointly work on opportunities to protect the rights of conflict-affected Ukrainians via digital means. Thank you for being here today. We are looking forward to presenting the platform in more detail and looking forward to discussing how we can further strengthen the collective provision of legal aid in Ukraine and beyond. Thank you very much.
Дякую.
Thank you. And the next person to say a few opening remarks will be Mr. Roman Romaniuk, the head of the Secretariat of the Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hello, participants of this event, all guests, and the organizers, our friends and partners with whom we constantly cooperate and communicate. I would like to personally congratulate on behalf of the your organization on behalf of the Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights. Right now he works on the international arena in order to raise awareness about the violations of human rights in Ukraine. But since today we talk about close cooperation with DRC, for which I personally highly appreciate. After signing the memorandum of cooperation between DRC and the Secretariat of Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner, we have developed very close cooperation, close support, and today's launch event is another clear indication that we are moving in the right direction on our way of helping Ukrainians, of assisting our people, our compatriots in getting access to the protection of their rights. Many people daily address the Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights, and especially since we talk about the internally displaced persons, the conflict-affected population. Since the start of the year, over 1,200 individuals addressed the Secretariat of Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner for Human Rights. And please remember that one request covers the rights of several citizens, and all the rights of all these applicants were restored. And when we analyze the operation of the hotline at our office, we clearly understand that many requests by citizens relate not to direct solution of a specific problem, but to general legal counsel and legal advice and legal aid in general. Therefore, it's a very the right decision to offer this kind of opportunity to people. We're talking about opportunity today because this legal aid platform is opportunity of remote, not always offline, since many people have been displaced in Ukraine, but online access to legal aid. We have over 4,000 compact accommodation sites in Ukraine. We have conducted 229 monitoring visits. We have multiple people regularly ask certain questions, ask us to address certain issues, and most often when people get displaced, one of their common issue is lack of access to databases, lack of access to knowledge, and lack of access to professional legal aid counseling. Therefore, this initiative has the full support of the Ukrainian Commissioner for Human Rights. Therefore, and I'm very happy to congratulate DRC and every one of us with this achievement. Wish you a nice day and good mood. Our next person to say our opening words is Mr. Sergei Nishinsky, advisor to the Vice Minister of Ukraine on European and Euro-Atlantic integration. Hello, dear participants of these events, dear organizers, dear DRC. You know, over the last year, I've always recalled the words by righteous of the world. The statement and the key concept of the righteous of the world stresses that by saving one life, we can save the world. If this platform creates the opportunity to save, to help, to assist in developing policies, to act as a way for solving any legal, social, or even psychological issues, this is a great contribution and great step towards success. Therefore, on behalf of the Office of Vice Minister of Ukraine on European and Euro-Atlantic integration, please accept my words of gratitude for this invitation and my words of support for this platform, which will definitely contribute to the minimization which will definitely contribute to solving a number of problems our IDPs are facing, and persons without citizenship are facing, and foreign citizens are facing, who have the residence permit in Ukraine. This is a category of citizens. This is a population we often forget about. And of course, please let me say my words of support to this program as a way to contribute to solution of some of the problems we have already mentioned today. Our golden gene fund. This is a phrase often used by the governmental officials and international organizations and international representatives. The golden gene fund are women and children and people aged 18 and 40, between 18 and 45, who were forced to flee abroad because of the hostilities. Our golden gene fund are people who get integrated abroad, who are covered not only by the refugee status or temporary protected individuals, but they integrate into the European society with the desire to later return to Ukraine. Provision of a number of legal services will not only act as a tools for their support, but also as a preventive action. Ukrainian courts, according to the State Statistics Service for the last year, the family law and family disputes, the issues related to divorce and to adoption, to the problems of international adoptions, the problems of displacement, the issues of execution, of remote execution of specific documents are some of the key issues which are probably addressed by this platform in terms of supporting this population. I cannot not to mention my own 4 months spent at the Ukrainian-Romanian borders during the very first months of the war, since I almost lived there in my sleeping bag. And together with the migration lawyers and the governmental officials, we evacuated a great number of people and children. And the worst thing was to observe how international organizations, with the representative of all diplomatic organizations with diplomatic license plates, leave the country, leaving their duty and abandoning their commitment to help Ukraine amidst the crisis. I believe that this platform and the Danish Refugee Council will act as an important stakeholder capable of providing realistic and powerful help to this population, which does indeed need this help, since we have multiple problems, starting with verification of volunteers on the other side of the border and including affected population, which includes over 1 million individuals. Therefore, I kindly ask this platform to identify as much problems as possible and provide as much practical and legal aid as possible, involving highly qualified professionals from Ukraine in order to support and develop this platform, since their knowledge will be essential for solving many issues. Therefore, please once again let me thank you for this invitation and express my support to this platform, and I'm looking forward for presentation. Thank you.
The next speaker is going to speak through Zoom. Andrea, please, you are given the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like first to apologize for my absence. Unfortunately, I really wanted to be there, but we had a very competing calendar at the moment. But I really would like to share a few words. First of all, to thank you, DRC, for organizing this initiative, and most importantly, to thank the head of Secretariat of the Ukrainian Parliament Commission for Human Rights, and to the advisor of the Prime Minister Office of Ukraine. DG ECHO, as a humanitarian aid of the European Commission, has been supporting DRC for providing legal aid assistance in Ukraine since long before the full-scale invasion as a part of its protection commitment. Legal aid enables conflict-affected populations to have their rights protected and have access to life-saving humanitarian aid, protection services, and social assistance. Last year's invasion generated massive population displacement, loss of life and property, and put more than 70 million Ukrainians in need of some level of humanitarian assistance. DRC and its partners, with the support of DG ECHO, were able to reach more than 12,000 persons with legal counseling and assistance. Beyond humanitarian assistance, legal aid support also contributes to safe and dignified return and contributes to durable solutions for persons affected by conflict. Today, despite the effort and the commitment of several partners that we would like to commend, the scope and the size of needs for legal aid remain huge and are also likely to increase. And new and different approaches are needed nowadays to ensure that all Ukrainians in need of legal support can receive a timely, dedicated, and efficient service of proximity. The legal aid platform is a welcome approach that relies on the expertise of local lawyers and professionals and has the potential to increase the capacity for persons in need to receive dedicated, confidential, and efficient counseling. And as such, we will encourage all actors to participate and contribute in it, and I wish all the best to DRC and to all the users and beneficiaries for this great initiative. Thank you.
It seems like we are quite ahead of time, but so I'll take that opportunity to take more time that I am allowed to take. But before that, like let me start with a caveat that anything that we'll be presenting today, nothing of that is meant to give any impression that we are underestimating or undermining the need for in-person assistance. The digital initiative is an addition to what we are already doing. Is not a substitution of that. So with that, let me start with like what the vision came in. Like personally, like when I started my humanitarian career in Kosovo, I had a Nokia 5110. Like if anybody of my age, you must remember that Nokia 5110. It's a super kind of efficient text document. You could write a text to your boss that I'll be late in office as usual. But then, in addition to that, I also had a dial-up modem and a laptop. But the beneficiary that I was serving, my organization was serving, in comparison to that, had absolutely nothing. A SIM card in Kosovo that time was 200 euro, almost $200. Euro didn't come in place that time, $200. Almost the monthly salary of an average Kosovo resident. So in that backdrop, when I, as a legal aid provider, went to field and then gave a one-page leaflet, how to get your pension, that was very valuable. And sometimes I could see the gratitude in their eyes that the information I brought in a printed one-page leaflet was so useful to them. But since then, we have seen that the society has gone through massive transformation in the following 23 years. The transformation that didn't happen in the previous 100 years, probably. So that much of social transformation that we have seen all around the world. Because suddenly, people got access to enormous volume of information and knowledge. That was because of the information revolution, information and communication revolution that they had gone through. So that kind of empowerment and that kind of access to knowledge was unthinkable before that. And simultaneously, we have seen the price of mobile phone dropping. Today, imagine if you are Ukrainian, the average salary in Ukraine is $400. If somebody sets aside like 1 week of his salary, he can get a smartphone, almost a Chinese one, right? And then the price of Wi-Fi, internet access, is also dropping. At my home in USA, I pay less, internet access than I pay for water. So internet access is cheaper than even water. So in that background, like it has become very affordable for ordinary people, the low-income people, regardless of your economic power or social standing, to have a smartphone and internet access. And the moment you have that, you spend your $100 on that. Nothing in the world gives you more empowerment than this $100 you spent on the smartphone and internet access. Because you were immediately part of information democracy. You have access to the same information that King Charles has, or the richest person in Ukraine has. That is power. So when we have been seeing that kind of transformation happening all across the world, and those people that we serve, do they still need a one-page leaflet from me? No. If I go to the same beneficiary with the same one page, he'll simply laugh at me and say, like, yes, right, this is why you have come here. So this is much about finding our relevance and then staying relevant for the purposes we are here for. So this is something that DRC took quite seriously, because when I look back, the thing that I was doing 23 years ago and the things I do today in terms of legal aid, is there very drastically different methodology? I don't see that. I almost do the same kind of legal aid that I was doing 23 years ago. So that made us think, since DRC started operating in this country in 2015, we started to think that way, that we have to be serious about like how we transform our legal aid intervention to the needs of the people, with the changing habits and traits of the people that we serve. So every year, we were trying to introduce a little bit, small steps to stay relevant. A little bit of digitalization, a little bit of here and there, and we are okay. But when the full-scale war started, we realized that these small changes are not good enough. We need to have a giant leap. We need to re-engineer humanitarian legal aid, because the challenges that has been presented to us by this conflict is immense, is massive. And this kind of massive challenge cannot be addressed by our old legal aid methodology. Think about this way, like the legal aid demand probably has gone up 50 to 100 times since February 2022. We have 15, 16 million displaced people inside and outside the country. We have another many millions of non-displaced conflict affected. And each individual, most families need legal aid. Some of them need legal aid on 3, 4, 5 matters. And some of the current legal aid, you resolve them in 2 months' time, you'll see like a new legal issues coming up. Because every time the government has a scheme, we have the compensation scheme and other, these are source of legal aid needs, because people need the information, people need the support to access to those kind of stuff. So you have tens of millions of legal issues which needs to be addressed. Who is doing that? Do we have that kind of human resources to solve tens of millions of legal issues? Like we have our usual partners here, we have been working for 8 years together. Count our lawyers, DRC lawyers, NRC lawyers, R2P lawyers, Helsinki is here, UNHCR lawyers. Altogether, we hardly find 400, 500 lawyers. Can 400, 500 lawyers solve these tens of millions of legal issues? No way. You need probably 10,000 or even more lawyers. But then where do you find those 10,000 lawyers? Isn't it somewhere in Ukraine that 10,000 lawyers are sitting and it's like, oh, plug in, now you do legal aid. That resource doesn't exist. So if we implement our old legal aid methodology, we are not going to solve that. That's number one. Number two, like even if you have those lawyers somewhere, who is paying for them for months and months, probably for years. So we have an issue with volume, and the methodology is not smart enough to address that. So this is number one. How do we solve that thing? So we have conceptualized a new idea, which is called legal aid self-help. And Ukraine is probably a perfect place for this legal aid self-help because of the educational level and then because of the digital penetration that you have among the population. So the purpose is that why don't we create the content and literature and let people get the help by themselves? And Danish Refugee Council is very ideally suited to do that because we have been doing legal aid for 8 years. We have had one-to-one consultation with more than 200,000 people here. So we know what are their questions, what are the requirements. So what we did, we captured those oral consultation in a written format and categorized them under 500 plus topics and catalog them under 27 categories, and then uploaded it in our platform. So now people who doesn't want to talk to a lawyer, who wants to solve his issue by himself, can go to the platform, find it, and get the legal help by himself, right? This is the ideal situation, and then that will reduce the pressure on the lawyer. So this is one of the new vision that challenge that we are trying to solve. The second problem is outreaching. This 20,000 or 15 million people are not in one place. They're scattered all across Europe, not only in Ukraine. Within Ukraine, they're scattered in even hard-to-reach areas. Now, outside Ukraine, they are all across 30, 40 different countries. And how do you find them and then provide legal aid in one spot? So that challenge needs to be addressed. And alongside that challenge, there is a very particular problem faced by the refugees who are outside the country. They have a legal issue, and to solve that legal issue, they need service from multiple jurisdictions. Somebody in Poland has a child protection issue, and the process is ABC. Process A is you do something with the social department in Poland. Process B is you do something in the social department of Ukraine. Process C, you come back to Poland and do again in Poland. So solving the same issue, you need support from lawyers from multiple jurisdictions. How do you do that? Usually you do is like the Polish lawyers say like, I do you process 1, you take care of process B, go there, whatever. When you finish the process B, come back to me, I'll do the process C. So what we did is like once we have the marketplace, legal aid doesn't have to be complicated. The issue is complicated, but the aid should not be complicated. So what we did is like the same Polish lawyer, he can work jointly with the Ukrainian lawyer and then giving a single assistance to the beneficiary instead of telling the beneficiary to go all across the places. So this is an access issue where a Polish lawyer or a German lawyer who would otherwise have no expertise on Ukrainian legal system can now jointly work with the Ukrainian lawyer and serve a beneficiary. In the same way, in a hard-to-reach areas in eastern Ukraine, somebody who never used digital means, elderly person, and never thinks that he or she can use digital means. He said, no way, I am not going to touch that. But now we can reach that because we have many protection actors in Ukraine who go to hard-to-reach areas. We have made legal aid mobile. Now the legal aid is in your tablet and in Wi-Fi access. So anybody else from any NGO who is going to the hard-to-reach areas can bring the legal aid to the person. So that person doesn't need to have digital literacy. He only needs 3 or 4 things. He needs to have an NGO who has a laptop, he needs to have a community volunteer, or he can have a grandson who can use internet. So now, if he has any of those guys available in his community, he has legal aid. So this is another way where this new vision is trying to solve the access issue that we also have here. So altogether, like this is kind of, I call it legal aid version 2.0. This legal aid version 2.0 is not replacing version 1.0. It's only enhancing. It's re-engineering legal aid in light of the facts and realities of the world, in light of the complexity we have been seeing, in light of the volume that we have to address. So what are the innovations that legal aid version 2.0 bringing to us? Number 1, it creates legal aid self-help, which we haven't seen previously. Number 2, it also allows you the control. We are giving the control back to the beneficiaries. You no longer wait in a remote place in eastern Ukraine, waiting for a lawyer to appear one day, which you'd never know when that lawyer will appear. The control is within your hand. You decide which date and which time you want legal aid. You as a beneficiary decide which lawyer you choose, Mr. X, Mr. Y, or Mrs. Z. You decide in what method you want legal aid. You want it in digital, or you want to find somebody and then go offline. So we are giving the control to the beneficiary, which is something we as a humanitarian actors should always do, because that's why we are here. And lastly, we are enhancing the transparency and accountability of legal aid service provision, because now our beneficiary can instantly give us feedback. The beneficiary can rank us, and those feedback and ranking become part of our marketplace, and that becomes a driving force for increasing our efficiency. So altogether, this is the vision, and I thank you very much for your continuous support and cooperation. I would like to ask my colleague Natalia now to walk you through the platform. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, so we turned on. This is, you can see the homepage of our DRC legal aid platform. Here we go, and let's imagine, just try to imagine yourself for a couple of minutes that you're a beneficiary. You are a conflict-affected person who needs a legal aid. And you search, you Google, or you just scan the QR code. You somehow found the link for the for our platform, and the very concept of the platform, as Isaac has mentioned, it is basically should be simultaneously a marketplace as well as a self-help desk. Starting from the homepage, you can see, you can try to, you get the general understanding of what the platform is about, that it is a network of lawyers providing, we highlighted, free legal aid. So the people do not think that they go to the platform where they have to pay for the legal aid they receive or for any questions and answers they can find here. If a person immediately needs a lawyer, he or she can type name, specialization, type of problem that a person has to receive an immediate help. However, like we were trying to base the concept and the design of the platform based on our lessons learned from the provision of free legal aid starting from 2015, and we understood that Ukrainians is a very high educated people who live in Ukraine are very high educated people, and they are very often are trying to find the answers by themselves. So if going a little bit down, there is a general description of the website, the general description of what people can find here, what is the website about, that they're how to request a counseling, how to select a lawyer. If going a little bit down, there is currently no lawyers online, but there will be pictures of the lawyers who are online, and also for the general understanding of the lawyers, if you're a lawyer, how to join the platform. There is a description that if you're a lawyer and you would like to join the platform, here are 4 easy steps to follow to send request for the verification by the Danish Refugee Council team. So coming back to your imagining yourself a beneficiary, a conflict-affected person, and you want to look for information that responds to your question by yourself. And to look for some information by yourself, we go to Q&A section, questions and answers. This is the section which consists massive amount of the most popular questions and most popular answers that we collected through our hotline, that our partners collected, that we proceeded, and we tried to put the answers to these questions in the so-called babushka language. So even people who do not understand, very complicated legal language can understand the general, the general direction, what their issue is about. They read the general description, the general answer to the question they have. Also, I forgot one very important thing. They select the country where they are located or to the jurisdiction of which they question pertain. For instance, let's select Ukraine. Ukraine is our most populated section. We have around 500 questions and answers on 25 or 28 different topics. So the questions are separated in different sections, which are not like, criminal law, administrative law, which is quite difficult for understanding. But they are separated in an easy, understandable topics. So person knows, okay, I have a problem with my, for instance, employer. This is employment and labor-related issues. Or I have problems with, I'm IDP and I need to register as an IDP. So the person goes to internally displaced person and see the process how to register, for instance. So here you see the list of the questions. What are the grounds? What should IDP do? Which IDP has a right to receive an accommodation allowance? And for instance, okay, you think, okay, is a person who has moved from Autonomous Republic of Crimea entitled to receive? You click and you see the answer. Yes, blah, 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 blah. So very short, very concrete, so person understand what he or she is entitled to or not entitled to, what can she do or he do or what cannot, so on. But also we have, if for instance we talk about not Ukraine, but if you found yourself, for instance, in France, we also have our partners and other DRC offices which are located in other countries. We work together with the partners and with them, and we also produce not so many questions because the list of questions are usually not that massive as we have in Ukraine, but the most popular one: how to access education, labor rights, emergency contexts in France, for instance, entering France, and so on. Emergency contexts, they consist whenever a person is in other country, they might need some quick contact with the embassy or contacts of offices where to apply for the temporary protection and so on. So here is general information of the most important contact information with the hyperlinks for the countries where you can, for instance, apply online for some services and so on. So everything is here in understandable language with the hyperlinks and everything very, very clear. But for instance, let's imagine that you went through all this information and your case is way too complicated, for instance, and you cannot understand what exactly you should do because, as my colleague Isaac has said, you have problem in Poland as well as you have problem in Ukraine, and also you have third problem, and your case is quite complicated. And you decide that after all you need the assistance of lawyer. We go to the find the lawyer section. And here you see all the lawyers who are currently registered in the platform. If we can scroll a little bit, you will see there is a list of, if I'm not mistaken, 60 or 70 lawyers. Some of them are DRC lawyers, some of them are our partners' lawyers, and person can select a lawyer based on just a general preference if he or she wants, for instance, like male or female lawyer. There is also such preference, but also there is an opportunity to select a lawyer based on his or her specialization, which is the most popular filter. Again, in a very simple words, no administrative, family law, civil law, very simple words, selection of the specialization of lawyers. Also, beneficiary can select a lawyer based on the country where he or she is located, or to which jurisdiction his or her question pertains to. Great Britain, Ukraine, Spain. Also, they can select a lawyer based on the years of experience. This is not very popular filter, but for some beneficiaries, it still matters. And then person clicks apply filters, and he or she sees the list of the lawyers which correspond to his search criteria. Since the beneficiary can appoint a consultation with a lawyer, through remote modality, but as well as meeting a person, asking for a meeting in person, we have such an opportunity as a map view, where, for instance, if you are located, let's say, in Dnipro, we select country Ukraine, we select city Dnipro, and we click apply filters. And we see that in Dnipro, in this particular location, we have 5 lawyers. One lawyer is located in, we can make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, here is one lawyer, and she is located, let's close it. She is located over here. You can even scale it more and see what is a concrete address where her office is located. And also here are 4 more lawyers. Here you go. You can see the exact address where you can meet a lawyer. And for instance, when booking a consultation, I will follow it up later. You can write a message asking, can we meet in your office, for instance? So your meeting will take place in the office. Okay, now let's try to find a lawyer, since our legal aid program doesn't only have internal Ukraine component, we also have a cross-border component. Let's try to find a lawyer. For instance, we go a little bit up, and we go to the list view. And now we will try to book a consultation with a lawyer, for instance, who is located in Spain. We select Spain, we select apply filters, and here is the lawyer who is located in Spain. You see a short bio of the lawyer. So you see how many solved issues lawyer has, how many years of experience a lawyer has, if he or she has any reviews, and also you can see how many free slots, 1 slot a half an hour, how many free slots does this person have until the end of the week, and if the person is online or offline. So, okay, let's say you like the lawyer, you like her years of experience, and you want to see some more information about her. So let's click on her. And we will see her full profile, all information about the lawyer. We can see exact address where her office is located. Here we can see this that I called slots, half an hour empty slots, which you can book for the consultation. If you go, you can also select the consultation date, and based on the date, there might be different free time slots. Also, if you go down, you can see the reviews and this average rating, 1 star, 2 stars, 3, 5, 4. Also, you can see more detailed information about the lawyers in terms of education, in terms of work experience, in terms of certifications, if the person has any additional certifications. And let's say we would like to book a consultation with this person. We go a little bit up, and we select a consultation. Oh, we have free slots here. Let's book a consultation for 3 o'clock. We click a book selected time, and in order to book this selected time, the system will require us to log in. We click it. Okay, we select time, we click book selected time. Okay, yeah, here we go. It's okay, we go again, sorry. We go again to the Spain, we go again to the same person. Yeah. So basically, in order to book a consultation, the person should be logged in. The logging in is a very, very easy, way where a system requires only your email. We do not collect any personal specific data. So basically, just email and person is registered, and he or she can book a consultation. It was just here, consultation is booked. And now let's say we want to write a message to the lawyer. Can we write a message to the lawyer? Okay. And so here, for instance, we'll write, "Hi, can we meet?" Can I have a consultation? Okay, and now we can go to our personal page. You can see the small person in the top and can see the messages. So here is a message, hi, can I have a consultation? And in a real life time, the lawyer responds you if the lawyer is online. So it's like a messenger. It's not like email you send and then you wait for half a day for the response. It's a real life chat. So if the lawyer is online, he or she will will reply you immediately. Here you go. Hello, sure. How may I help you? Also, in my cases section, you can see if the lawyer has confirmed your application for the consultation. So this will look like scheduled, yellow sign that the consultation is scheduled, or rejected. For instance, if a lawyer has something other and he has to reschedule a consultation, or either rejected or scheduled or pending. So it's only 3 options. And for instance, if the lawyer from his side confirm the consultation, there will be a scheduled sign. I guess this is it about the booking the consultation. And so in the chat, the lawyer and the beneficiary can arrange the place or the mean of communication through which the consultation will be provided. It could be online, it could be any messenger that is convenient for the person. It could be offline, as I showed you previously, in the office. So it basically will give all the power to beneficiary to select where the consultation should take place, how it should be, and also to let a lawyer get a little bit more prepared for the consultation. We usually advise lawyer to chat a little bit in advance to understand what is the issue about. Is it a family case, or is it, I don't know, IDP registration or something? And the very last section, I guess, that I will be showing you today is a blog section. It is still, let's say, under construction, but this is a section where we are publishing all our information, which is humanitarian related information from a Ukrainian DRC office, from other DRC offices in Europe, which pertain to absolutely different topics, where we would love to publish information from or analytical passages from our lawyers. The lawyers who are registered on the platform, they can publish the materials, the analytical passages to this section blog, as well as our partners, partners organizations. It should not be necessarily some formal partner. Also can publish their materials here under different tags. This is just a sample tags. Again, since we're just working on this section, here you can see our DRC Ukraine legal alerts. And you basically click on the blog, and or you can click on DRC Italy, and you will see information from our very recent information provided by our DRC office in Italy about the withdrawal of the temporary protection permit in Italy. And you can see the publication date, the texts that are related to this particular blog, and the information itself. Let's go down, down, down. So basically, we advise not to keep it very long, but Anybody can comment it and like it and so on. So basically, this is more of a focus for quite, more of humanitarian society. Also, if any beneficiary can come and read some analytical articles here. But overall, we think that this section would be of a more interest for lawyers and to share their knowledge and their experience, as well as for other humanitarian actors. I guess this is it, and we will be opening a section for questions and answers now. And I'm inviting my colleagues who we work together, Isaac Robinson and Alexander, if he can join us, to answer the questions any of you have or any of Zoom participants have. Thank you so much.
No, we have our colleagues Sasha and Natasha. Natasha also come. So if you have any question, three of us will try to answer. Yeah. Yes, please. Oh, yeah, this is one.
Доброго дня.
Baranov Alexander, first of all, thank you very much. I would like to thank lawyers for this free of charge legal aid system. Lawyers of NGOs that during the last year and at present continue to provide legal aid free of charge in Ukraine. To the Ukrainian citizens, and not only Ukrainian citizens. This is a huge amount of work. A lot has been done in this respect. In this very respect, we welcome the new player in our market in this direction, but one small comment concerning the formulation of free of charge legal aid can be only in case if it is provided at the expense of the local self-government bodies or state funds, and it would not be expedient in this case that it's really free of charge, but it is provided at the expense of donors or partners, in fact. I would like to mention, well, speaking about platform, I know our statistics, and I know the statistics of our partners and donors who provided assistance for IDPs. Hundreds of thousands of requests per year, a lot of consultations. And of course, it's very good that we are not going to create an additional excess in the market, but it's very pleasant for us. We are very pleased that the tool that was introduced 8 years ago, legal aid, continues to improve and develop. And it will include other sections concerning human rights in Ukraine and in other countries. And I do believe that you will achieve the same result as we have right now. We have great results. The question is, what are you going to do with the platform in the future? How are you going to keep its sustainability, actually? Because the specialists who are working in the platform are those who are working at the expense of donors. Once it's over, will they be able, in fact, to continue to provide their services? And you'll have certain competitors in Ukraine, actually, the platforms like yours. How are you going to compete with them?
I think a lot of very good questions. I'll start from the last one, the sustainability thing. My famous quote I took from the UNHCR First Race Rep, Prince Aga Khan. our business is to get out of business. So this is the humanitarian response. We always want to get out of business because that's how our success is measured, that we don't have the caseload to do that. And Danish Refugee Council is not an exception. So we want sustainability, but sustainability of not me or Julian, sustainability of our action. So in that way, the platform sustainability mode is very much that how and when we mainstream it to the civil society and others in Ukraine. So this is probably a long way. We understand from the war now, it's probably too early to start talking about that. But we'll be definitely very happy to start talking with you that what type of sustainability, what mode of sustainability you want that. From our side, as because we get a lot of money from the donor, especially after the war, we want to have fungibility of the spending that we have. We want to make sure that every dollar we spend here actually adds to the incremental civil society resource in the country. So this is the knowledge base that we are creating. This is the software we are creating. This is the network we are creating. This is the methodology we are creating. And later on, we'll talk about like how, in the long run, we will make those sustainability of action. The second thing you also mentioned about it's not free, is donor money. Of course, it's, somebody is paying for it. But when we say it's free, we mean that free from the perspective of the user. So we have to give a very clear message to the user, very, very clear message to the user that is absolutely free. Because we have our global lessons learned from many other places, and then our due diligence, what time corruption start, and what are the different scopes of corruptions. So we always need to tell it upfront to our beneficiary that it is free. So if there is any contravention, there is any attempt to charge the beneficiary, he can tell, look, the free legal aid is already written there. It's free, don't ask for money. And that's probably your first question, the problem start with, that why we call it free legal aid. So this is one of the reasons that we have to use free. Otherwise, we are happy to drop free from there, but we really want to tell the beneficiary that it's free, so that his understanding is that nobody can ask the money. And then again, about the first question, a little bit more. You and I use the free legal aid in two different contexts. You use it as a noun. This is the name of your organization. This is the law. Of course, it came from the law, because you have the statutory base. It came from the law, but it's also a part of your name. But for us, this is not part of a name. We use it, this is what we do. We provide free legal aid. Now, if anybody can give me a better substitution of the word free, better substitution of legal aid, I would change it to that. So I'm not trying to compete with you. And then also, like, you know us very well, that we have been working with you for last 7 years now. So, and you are also one of our sustainable partner, which is one of the way that we look how to get out of business in this country. So I think it's probably a bit of miscommunication, but we need to sit together and then see like how we don't send that kind of wrong messaging to each other. So, okay, thank you. One second, we have one question and then we come back.
Hello, my name is Moskalenko Lena. I'm the candidate of legal science and I'm functional expert. First of all, I would like to express my great gratitude both for this launch event and for the implementation of this project and introduction of this platform. This is indeed very essential contribution. At the same time, I have a question. What are the ways to raise awareness about existence of this platform? I mean, how do you communicate the information about this platform to the end user? So directly to the person who may need this legal aid. And as a continuation of one question, I will, or as a small prompt, do you cooperate with the local authorities And are you going to use your cooperation with the local authorities as a way to communicate information? So what are the ways the platform is using to communicate information about its existence to the users?
Upon a pain point that we have, which is we have the platform, everything, we don't have the adoption. We didn't market it yet because first we wanted to make sure that we don't have a lot of bugs in the system. Now we are fairly confident that we don't have bugs. So now is the point how we make sure that it gets adopted by the beneficiaries. Our initial experience is not that very good. We have 80 TikTok videos, 31 of them are in the market already. The TikTok is not giving us a lot of traffic now, but TikTok is probably only 2% of our effort. Our remaining 98% effort we haven't started, which is very much number one, come to you for help. Come to you for the partners to use your network, your dissemination channel, help us get those people come to the platform. So this is number one, which we'll be very happy to reach out to you, each of you, your organization, how you can help us reach out. That's number one. Number two, local self-government, absolutely for sure. So this is why we have these stickers. And we will be sending everybody, like whenever you go somewhere, please take a sticker, stick it in the wall. We are talking with the Ukrainian railway because railway has a program where you can stick it in the railway. So we will basically use every method and that's possible to reach out to these people. If nothing is possible, then we may even have a paid marketing, which we want to avoid because I think we have many partners. If you help us, like we can reach those people anyway. So next 1 or 2 months, like we'll spend our effort on reaching out to these people. Sorry, I stopped you. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. I mentioned during my speech, I said that it's very important that the process of aid is very essential. But now, after presentation, me as a lawyer and me as a head of Migration Law Committee of the Lawyer Association of Ukraine have one very important question: quality of legal services. How does the DRC is going to verify the quality of legal services provided? Because first of all, this is the reputation of DRC, which engages these professionals even in remote mode. Secondly, as the practice of our committee shows, as the experience of our migration lawyers shows, the primary aid always tends to shift to transfer more into secondary aid, and if you provide free of charge review as part of primary aid, it's just as 10% of solving the issue. So how does this process continues? How do you refer beneficiaries to secondary legal aid, and how do you verify the quality of the services? Do you have some special verification unit, or you rely only on likes, feedbacks? And moreover, there are many additional questions. Is the data privacy? How do you protect the privacy according to the GDPR ratified by Ukraine? Is security issues, security in Ukraine, and the possibility to provide legal counseling in non-government controlled territories or related to non-government controlled territories? So there are many questions. For example, sanction policy. All these questions derive from providing services in certain fields our immigration lawyers in Ukraine are facing. How are you going to verify the quality of services, and how are you going to verify the professionals? Please, thank you.
I think a lot of very relevant questions. And these are the questions we were thinking for almost a year. How do we answer those kind of concerns? I go one by one. Like on the quality side, there are 2 steps. The first step is our internal control. And we have a partner induction strategy. We have a lawyer induction strategy. Every lawyer has to go through certain process before he or she can be placed in the platform. And these are very usual, the same standard that we DRC use for our partner lawyer vetting. So that's quite high standard. And that's why you saw the qualification and that kind of stuff. And then also we rely on the service provider's expertise on making sure that the lawyer that they recommend actually qualifies and has certain standards. So if R2P or NRC recommends 20 lawyers here, we have our own vetting mechanism. We also trust that R2P and NRC also check their lawyers. And then what happens if certain lawyers' standard falls below certain standard, right? So for that, first thing we need to know that we have to have an identification mechanism. How do we identify that a number of lawyers that we thought are qualified are not performing? And we have a very good tool for that because our beneficiaries will be telling that certain lawyers are not complying. So, and we have a process where we can address it to the service provider and then tell, like, this is not a one issue, this is not a two issue, this is a systematic issue, please address that. So in two ways, one is the initial control of the quality, second is a feedback mechanism that will allow us to stay continuously compliant in terms of quality. And I would say like this is probably a very smart way because if you look in the world that the best control mechanism is where the market dictates the term of the quality. And our thing is now is very much market-based because it's the beneficiary who is the person who knows best if the quality was there. And they have the power to give feedback. So we are using that, the market information, to ensure that the quality is there. So this is, your second question was more about, can you remind me there's another question? GDPR. First thing we did when we were developing the software, we gave that target to our software developer, and then our HQ also helped us, is to make sure that we don't have a methodology which requires collection of data which is GDPR protected. So basically, the platform will not be handling sensitive data. As Natalia mentioned you, that the way that you log in is using your Gmail or Yahoo Mail or iOS or Android, whatever credential, which you already have that with Gmail. So we are not asking you, the beneficiary, about more information about your personal situation. But then at a certain point, a service provider lawyer may start asking information because to solve the case, he needs more information. To solve the case, he probably needs more of data. So at that stage, it becomes an issue of the service provider, whether the service provider got sensitive information through email. And for our induction policy, we will make sure that the service provider has its own GDPR mechanism. So from the platform side, number one, we are not collecting sensitive information. Number two, we will be asking our service provider to ensure that if they take any sensitive information from the beneficiary, they should make sure that it's GDPR compliant. There was a third question, which is about primary and secondary legal aid. Most of the services that we'll be providing in the platform will be primary legal aid consultation, because that's where the volume comes in. But we are not excluding the possibility of secondary legal aid. We are a marketplace. We are owner of the shop. And we have service providers coming from all across the countries. Some of the service provider may say, I only give counseling. Some of the service provider may say, I give counseling plus secondary. So it will be for our beneficiary to select. If he thinks that he needs a secondary legal aid, he should select the service provider that does both primary or secondary. And at the same time, we will be telling all the service provider that after the consultation, if you think that one of your beneficiary needs a secondary legal aid, which you cannot provide, please refer to another service provider who can provide the secondary legal aid. And that's where also the free secondary legal aid centers can be important. Like if they qualify for that kind of legal aid, we can also send from the platform to the free secondary for secondary legal aid. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thanks for the presentation, and congratulations to DRC colleagues for the work well done. You know, it's like I know it's been in making for quite some time. I have a question about this self-help part of the platform. When people look for answers, do they also get information on the procedure and access to forms that they should use in the process? Because that wasn't so clear from the presentation. And also, the second question is for the people who are like residing in other countries, the access to the lawyers in those countries. Do they all speak Ukrainian? Can they communicate with them in Ukrainian, or they need to use the service of a translator sometimes? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dubrovka. The first question is yes. I think we didn't show those questions where we said we showed the steps. So when we are providing the consultation, we also tell like the steps are X, Y, Z. This is what you do, and then if some of the steps needs a form to be used, and that form is available in the government website, we'd also provide a link to that form. We also have that in our mind that we can also create a depository of different forms and templates. But that would be more for the lawyers from other countries, they need to know. But we will try to have all the steps included and the form included in the same consultation so that the beneficiary doesn't need to go elsewhere. In terms of the translation thing, we are doing it with the content in both Ukrainian and English. We only show the English, but our Ukrainian content is much more authentic because it's drafted in Ukrainian. But then beneficiary talking to a Polish lawyer, and the Polish lawyer doesn't speak Ukrainian. How do you solve that problem? So the Polish lawyer must have been using a translator to access to that beneficiary. So we will be taking advantage of that. Or if the Polish lawyer wants to have access to a Ukrainian lawyer, we'd recommend the Polish lawyer to talk to a Ukrainian lawyer who speaks both English and Ukrainian. So this is where probably we have language as a filter here. So we will definitely expect that any Polish or German or foreign lawyer trying to get help from Ukrainian lawyer in terms of serving their beneficiary should select a lawyer who speaks both Ukrainian and in English. Yeah, and there is a third translation issue which we are actually now trying to solve. We have a lot of contents in all these 30, 40 European countries which are in their local language. And now we need help from somebody else to translate them in Ukrainian. Because once we can translate them in Ukrainian, then we can upload it in our website. And then somebody who is in Finland, for example, and then doesn't speak English or Finnish language, now can get those Finnish legal literature in Ukrainian language. But these are the challenges for us in the coming year. And these are the reasons that we want partnership. That anybody wanna build on top of that, you tell me, like, okay, this is the part I wanna help you build. We will be happy to cooperate. We'll be happy to give you ownership for that. So this is one of the things like we need to talk bilaterally, like how many of you have any ideas to build on the platform? Thank you.
Ви знаєте,
You know, it's very difficult to come into dispute with the lawyers, but I will try to be short and make it systematic. I have one question, not only about protection, but about preventive policy of kidnapping, of counteracting to illegal human traffic. And the question is concerning your IT sector. Have you any experience of making security assessment? For instance, maybe your office in Turin, where when DRC conducts certain training workshops of how we can distinguish between good faith client and bad faith client, for instance, or a beneficiary. Now we are on the second place in terms of kidnapping, and during the war being waged, we had a lot of issues of how can the competent person can be qualified, who can act on behalf of children, for instance, small children. Or in this case, in this respect, we have a lot of questions. How can you verify these issues with the help of your platform? On the one hand, we can say that yes, the creation of your platform is a great decision. The Committee on Migration Law actually created the analog, the very similar platform. But here is the issue of protection, for instance, and responsibility. This is very important for beneficiaries also, because sooner or later, during the conflict, the platform can be the third party having its own preferences. Thank you very much.
Is about the security of the lawyers and security of the beneficiaries. Yeah, I mean, like, that has always been an issue in all conflict. One thing, the system, and this is why we have the humanitarian principle, neutrality and accountability, and we take privacy quite seriously. We never share client information with the government. Even the government is very friendly government, because that's against our principle. Because we do assistance, humanitarian assistance, from a humanitarian imperative perspective, which is absolutely neutral about who you are, what you do, what you have done, right? But the government is a political entity. It has its political, legitimate political interest to serve. So when it operates in a different parameter. So that's where, like, our views and the government views and the approach are not compatible. So we try to stay, what do you call it, compartmented in our own. So on that matter, that's why, like, we have different protocols and principles we always follow. So those will be our standard operating process when we are inviting a beneficiary to a workshop or whatever. Those operating principles we will be following very strictly, so that we don't expose the beneficiaries to any harm by other actors. This is what we call the do no harm principle. Like, in the one hand, I want to help you, but actually I am exposing you to somebody else who can do a greater harm to you. So my answer is probably very vague. I can give you a very more specific answer to, like, how we will address that. But what I can tell you is that this is an issue, is not new to us. This is an issue that we as a humanitarian operating in many parts of the world, we constantly have that. Maybe this part of the world is a much more complex and sophisticated. And that's where probably awareness of more risk will help us. So if we get to know from you that in addition to what are the risks against which we have taken mitigating actions, there are new risks. If you tell us, we'll bring it us to our security guys and then say, like, look, give us a recommendation how to get protection against those. Thank you. About? You? Yeah, go ahead.
Працює, супер.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your questions and issues. Our partners are present here. I do believe that you know them perfectly well. I've been working on the content of the digital platform together with my colleague Natalia and other colleagues. So the privacy policy and data and whether they comply with the GDPR principles. Unfortunately, our IT department representatives is absent today. Starting from the beginning of our platform elaboration and up to date. So we have the following situation. Our IT specialist explained to me that it was designed to be GDPR compliant, actually. This was one of the first conditions, prerequisite for creating of such a platform. Was made for us to understand on what grounds it should be based, on what materials. Of course, in the blog section, you will soon find the video materials. And so when we have analytics and analytical systems combined with the existing platform, we are able to conduct the compliance analysis of the code of the platform, whether it complies with the GDPR or not. Right now, I would like to say that I strongly doubt that there is ideal system that can be designed in a way that it has no drawbacks. What we managed to do, we made it in a way that we have had the positive experience in legal counseling since 2014, and we understood that parts of them can be transferred into the digital format. So the platform is a kind of resource which allows us to find people with whom we had certain difficulties, but it does not envisage to publish the personal data in their personal cabinet. So the very format, for instance, they cannot send their copies of passport and the like. So we should combine our unique nature in the marketplace and other factors. So, well, some of you mentioned that there are similar platforms, of course, but we are going to extend our platform, including a video service, and such platforms in Europe even do not have such sections allowing to use video materials. So the law on personal data should be observed in this case, and the platform does not allow to the beneficiary the possibility to put his or her personal documents on this platform. We understand that we should understand whether it is DRC, NRC, or other institutions. Well, just probably should follow the principle, the protection principles, which prevents such cases from happening. It can include additional responsibility, for instance, in some know-how techniques or technologies for DRC. At every stage of consultation of legal aid provision, we provided the list of notifications free of charge, of course, so the option whether it is paid, it's free or charge or not, is understandable in terms of use of the platform and other documents. Have it that we do not recommend to share such kind of information. So we have the prevention system. I fully agree that this topic is disputable and requires further discussion. I'm very grateful to my colleague who proposed such an option for us. So that is why we have gathered here in order to share our experience. Of course, we know that collective decision is very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very grateful for your questions. Maybe you have some more of them, please. We have some time left. Maybe some other questions, ladies and gentlemen. And Sura Yulia, a lawyer and legal firm. We are very pleased to be part of the project because we understand that's kind of assistance which people require right now. My question is also support the question of my colleague Sergey, but being a lawyer who has an intention to provide the similar services to people and legal consultations, I am quite sure that our lawyers working in my company have a high qualification level, and within their competence they are very good. They are real experts. You mentioned the feedback from beneficiaries, from customers, concerning the quality of services, but the question is whether there is any kind of mechanism or is it envisaged if in case of dissatisfaction of the quality of services provided, says for instance that this or that lawyer is not competent, is not qualified. How are you going to resolve such conflict situations? And would you include the opinion of the lawyer who was in charge of that service? And what further actions should be taken if the incompetence of the lawyer is established?
We'll follow the principle of natural justice. Nobody is punished before heard. So if we get a complaint from the beneficiary, we take that's the complaint, but nothing against the lawyer before we talk to the lawyer, right? So that kind of asking a lawyer about like what went wrong, why we got this kind of, this will be there. So number one, we are not going to take action against a lawyer on a single incident. And then I mentioned that once a thing becomes systematic, that's when the platform will step in. The single isolated incident will be handled by the service provider, because the service provider itself also has a quality check. And the reason that we inducted the service provider, because we trusted the service provider. So we have to have certain level of trust for the service provider. So those single incidents will be happy for the service provider to handle with his own staff. But once that goes beyond one or two examples, but it's very systematic, then the platform will step in, and then in redressing that, we'll definitely give opportunity to the lawyer to explain.
Можливо, ще якісь запитання?
So maybe our audience has some more questions. If not, we have a little bit more time. As for this question and the answer to this question are also somehow related to how we control the format, the quality of our services. When we started to develop our website and the features of our platform, we included two additional roles: moderator and administrator. Moderator has specific responsibility of more operative nature. He processes internal requests by lawyers joining the platform, and this may be, for example, some self-employed professionals or representative of some law firms. And this may be organizations, like you mentioned. We joined. We process this internal request. For example, we demonstrated this joining part. The person joins our platform, we communicate with this platform, we solve the question what are numbers of how many specialists will work on behalf of this organization and the service provider. We had a lot of internal disputes, and I really appreciate that some of our internal representatives have come here. I'm sorry if I haven't remembered the name correctly, but I'm happy that we have some people who joined our platform. So, for example, we had some discussions with lawyers joined registered platform. So why do we need this rating? Because it's not commercial project, and we don't require fees, and we cannot compete with each other. Yes, of course, it's a very logical question. We considered an option of not making these ratings public, but we as moderators we must see these user ratings, because Ukrainians, they're very active. If something is wrong, they will, in most cases, they will definitely let you know. So we thought about this option, the quality rating. We understand that legal counseling is a little bit different kind of service, and there are some cases when a lawyer has did the best he or her can in order to represent the interests of the client and protect them according to the all best practices. But not in all cases the desired result may be achieved. There are cases when the lawyer has did everything he or she could, but the lawyer cannot guarantee the positive outcome according to our law on legal profession. So this rating system is also. So it's the lawyer receives this email reminder that you have conducted the consultation, and the user receives this reminder that there's a question: are you satisfied? Please press here if you are satisfied. Please press here if you're not satisfied. Please approximately rate the quality of the service. If you're not satisfied, the system is enabled when DRC starts to monitor, to follow up this question, to investigate its reason, because maybe the lawyer was not very responsible, maybe this lawyer has wrong because it was some technical problems like during communication in Skype. So, of course, great operational work is in progress, and it will continue. However, I hope that I have given you some understanding of how it works. Of course, it's more internal processes, but I can state for sure, I can reassure you that we are working 24/7 to solve all the residual issues.
Information, like as a very essential obligation of a platform holder, we have to be responsible for the continuous education of the lawyers who are in the platform. So this we will take quite seriously. We have already taken that quite seriously, that we make sure that our lawyers coming from different service providers not only has the qualification, but we continuously enhance their qualification. So what we do is, like, we have a video, we have an induction workshop when the lawyer is coming to the platform, so that he knows that what are the standards, what are the expectations of that kind of thing. And then even after joining the platform, we have a training program. Like some of you have attended our 5-day residential training program. So we spend 5 days with the partner lawyer, training them on what we think are the most important legal issues in helping legal aid. And we'll be doing those. So we just don't want to tell the lawyer that, look, you have done something wrong. Instead of that, we want to be proactive and then give that training to the lawyer so that he doesn't get in a situation where he has to make those mistakes. So we will take that responsibility on us to have the continuous education of the lawyers in the platform.
Hello, Andronova Alina. I have a very brief question. My question is from other perspective. I would like to ask you if the platform would be somehow adapted for people with impaired vision or other similar disabilities.
You have to forgive me for that, because my specialization is a lawyer, and the lawyers have very tunnel vision. we didn't factor in those kind of things because we have a lot of challenges. It's a quite new thing for us. We didn't go that far. But definitely I hear you, and then we'll see. Like our primary what do you call it? Interest here is now to make sure that a platform is workable, platform is adopted. Once we tick box those primary requirement of the platform, we'll definitely talk to you and then see like what you can do to do those. Yeah, thank you for raising that.
Так, ну що ж,
Okay, so I suppose we're about to have our coffee break. We still have 5 minutes. If someone else have some other questions to our presenters, please. Vyacheslav Lubashenko, Norwegian Refugee Consul. Me as a lawyer, I have a question first of all regarding free of charge legal service. Do you have some criteria, beneficiary entitlement criteria? How to identify people entitled to receive free of charge legal aid? May you refuse certain populations in provision of free of charge legal aid? And my second question is about the thematic specialization of the platform itself. Are you ready to provide a legal aid in all legal fields? Thank you.
It's a very interesting question, and I had debate with many people on that. And the famous thing, I was reading a book, it's called Freakonomics, and then the second book was like Think Like a Freak. They mentioned this false positive thing, the Nigerian scammers who send you that you won $10 million and then please come to Nigeria, and that each of us got that. If you read those emails, you will find it that the language is so obvious that everybody should understand that this is a scam. Why do they still send that kind of obvious email? Because they want to eliminate false positive. They don't want to get people who they have to engage for months and months and then later on see that actually he is not a target. So they want to reach to the absolute person. So this elimination of false positive is so important. And we have to count what is the cost of that. So for us, this is the same thing. If we have to go through each individual to see that what is his income potentials, what is his economic standing, what is the resource we spend on that? You talk with somebody else for 15 minutes to understand that he doesn't qualify for your service. Whereas if you could afford him 30 minutes, you could even give him the consultation. Is it worth spending 15 minutes to know that he qualifies or not? Just to eliminate 2% of the people who doesn't otherwise qualify? So we thought about that. And as you see, like this platform is all about generating efficiency. We don't need to get stuck with certain bureaucracy where much of our resources will be spending. And we always talked about what is the cost of sacrificing that thing. The cost of sacrificing that is probably 5% of the people or 10% of the people who shouldn't get this service free actually got it. No millionaire will come here. Not even people who earn $5,000 a month will come here because it's a legal aid process. You have to help somebody. They'll get their own lawyers. It's a marginal group that will actually benefit because we didn't install a process for filtering, right? And for me as a program manager, it's perfectly okay to take that as a risk, to take it that as a loss, as opposed to installing a bureaucratic mechanism that will take so much of my lawyers and others people's time. It's not worth it. This is the philosophy that we have. It doesn't mean that the service provider may have a different philosophy. The service provider may have his own criteria and say like, look, thank you very much for coming, but based on the interview, I realize that you don't qualify for our service. Please look for somebody else. But I don't want to create a censor from the platform. If there is a censor, let the service provider provide that, not the platform. Okay, thank you.
добре. Дуже дякую вам.
Okay, thank you so much for your questions. I think we may continue our discussion later. Maybe someone has some personal issues, would like to request some clarifications. So now I invite everyone to coffee break. As you see on the screen, it's between 2:45 and 3:15. So thank you so much for your participation during the first half of our events, and please enjoy your coffee break.